We're going to take a look at basically changing the heads on a marching snare drum and getting it all tuned up and ready to play. Let's go over the items that you're going to need for getting this done. You'll need really only one of these high tension drum keys, but two could be used as well. There should be an Allen wrench that comes with your marching snare drum. You'll want to go with the lower or the smaller variation of the two Allen wrenches that you get. You'll want two pencils or pens, basically anything that will fit across the width of your guts here, but are exactly the same size, and we'll get to that later. You'll want at least one drumstick so you can go around and tap the head around the tension rod so that you can get a proper tuning. You'll need a resonant head and a batter head. So let's get started. We'll start opposite each other. Normally when a snare drum is going to come from a dealer or the manufacturer, they're not going to be cranking these rims down all the way. So in this case, it may not be necessary, but we're going to do it just for the sake of, like, if you have an actual Kevlar head on here to begin with, we'll start from there. So we're going to do about half turns on each side, and like I said, these are already pretty loose. Go to the next one, about a half turn. Next one, half turn, and so on. So you get all the way around. Just want to break up the tension on these tension rods. So now that that's pretty loose, you can just spin them off, all the way off. That off. Set this aside. And you can take your batter head off. Now before putting it back on, we're going to go ahead and flip this over and do the other side. Out. You want to try and make sure you remember which way these go in, because it'll be a pain trying to get it back in if you don't have it the right way. All right, now that we got the guts out, we can go ahead and do the same thing with the snare side head. Again, these are already extremely loose, but you do want to start by only doing half turns on each of them. To begin with. All right. Take your snare side head off. We're going to take a look at the snare side head in Kevlar. What we want to do is try and line up, you can really line these up however you want to, but I like to line my logo up with, where is it? The badge of the drum. So put that right there. And one thing I forgot to mention to begin with was another item that you want to have when you start, and that would be white lithium grease. Now, these tension rods are already greased up. I can feel it on my fingers, so I'm not going to worry about it. But if your drum's been sitting there a while, you don't want these to get dried out, because they'll start to stick to the insides of the lugs and all kinds of stuff and cause issues. So we're just going to tighten these down by hand to begin with. Just making sure all these are tightened down by hand. And then we're going to put the palm of your hand right in the middle and push down just to kind of stretch out the head a little bit. All right. Now, this time we're only going to use one key, but just spin it until it just kind of stops. It shouldn't go very far anyway, because hand tightened everything already. That's tightened. We're going to press again just to give it a little stretch. Do this one more time. Now, I'm not putting any pressure on the middle. I'm just kind of setting my finger there so it doesn't ring out as much. But you want to make sure that when you're hitting the head of the drum, you're hitting it at the same distance away from the rim every time you're going around to each tension rod. Otherwise, you're going to get different tones and all kinds of stuff. So just lightly place your finger in the middle of the drum. You hear this one is slightly lower than the others. We're going to go ahead and we're going to crank this down a half turn at a time. You don't really want to go any more than that. By half turn, I mean, let's see, this actually has a hole on one side of the key, so it's kind of an easy way to tell where you're at. What I like to do is sometimes put tape around one side so you know how far you've gone around. But knowing that there's a hole here, we're going to turn it halfway, meaning this would be a quarter, this would be halfway, so 180 degrees. And we're going to do that on all of them, all the way around. One turn. Alright, let's go ahead and check the tone of these. You can kind of hear it starting to, it's really tightening up. Let's go ahead and push on the middle again. Just kind of break in this drum head a bit. All right. We're going to go with this tuning right here. So we're going to bring all the other ones up to that same sound. Go in small increments. A lot of times if you're having an issue getting the right tone, no matter how tight you're getting it on one side, try adjusting the tension rod directly across from it. Right. We're going to take our guts, feed them back in. We'll leave that really loose. This is where we take our pencils and slide it under the guts. And move them towards the edge. And we'll tighten this up. Okay. And you can start plucking it like it's a guitar, and you'll hear the tone of each one of these. So from here, we're going to take that Allen wrench and we will adjust each one to make sure that they are the same tuning. Make sure they're all straight. There we go. I like the sound of that one, so we're going to try and make all the others that same sound. All right, let's loosen this up so we can get our pencils out of here. sure that when you're tapping this, you can hear towards the middle that there's not really as much clicking as there is over here, because the guts are actually slightly above the head. So what we want to do is give that a little bit of a tighten so that it's sitting right on top of the head. We don't want to crank it down to where you see it bending or flexing. We just don't want to hear that clicking like that. Over here is a little past, so we'll let it out. Go further so we can hear the clicking, and then slowly tighten to where you don't hear the clicking anymore. Now we're going to flip over and do the top. Let's see, we've got the badge is here. These tension rods lined up. All right. I'm just going to spin it until it stops. We're not cranking anything down yet. Sometimes these nylon washers in here will kind of prevent you from spinning it like that. You can easily move those up. Again, push in the middle. You'll hear a little bit of cracking. That's okay. It's just stretching out the head again. Make sure those are good. Go down to one. I'm going to do half turns. whenever I tighten these down. So what we're going to do is loosen this and this. And engage the snare. Now I'm going to redo this. Sound a little more like a snare. Okay. I'll do another half turn, maybe a quarter turn. All right, I think that's going to do it for the snare drum. Normally when you're putting on new heads though, you want to make sure that you give it about a day and then kind of go back around and make sure that everything's still in tune, because it does tend to stretch out a little bit. So about 24 hours from now, come back and redo the tension rod on the top and bottom head. You don't have to worry about the guts.
Sweet. There's that. I love the black, like, herringbone look too. I mean, it's about the same, but
oh yeah,
it's nice too.
That Kevlar look, yeah.